good to go.
And we are good to go. Good to go on this Monday morning. What day is this in the shutdown anyway? Through 30 something, 40 something.
I don't know. It feels like 6 months.
Feels like yesterday. Feels like the day before. Feels like the day before that. But as Turtle Boy and I discussed before we started recording here, tide is turning. People are coming around to our way of thinking. People are tired of this, and it's not going to last much longer. People are going to revolt. It is time, as we all know, as we all can see. People are fed up, and they don't even understand, why they're locked away anymore. But we'll get to that. First, the Patriots drafted a white supremacist, and I didn't see that coming. To quote Jemele Hill, I didn't see that coming. They drafted a white supremacist, and I was going to. Past judgment. I was going to come to a conclusion that this guy is a racist. And then I read Mike Freeman. He says you can't judge a guy on his tattoos. So as usual, Mike Freeman to the rescue. You can't judge a guy on his tattoos. I tell you what you can judge a guy on Turtle Boy and Cullinane is you can judge him, I think, on what he says, right? I mean, can't you listen to what he says? This guy, as we all know, this thing exploded a couple days ago, Saturday. The Patriots drafted in the 5th round a kicker, and Turtle Boy's not happy. He thinks he could have got him in the 6th, right? Is that right?
Or free agency.
Or free agency. So he wasted a, whatever it was, 5th round pick, the 159th pick on a kicker, Justin Rohrwasser, who started at was from New York, started at URI, transferred to Marshall. He must have a big leg because Bill Belichick used the 5th round pick on him. But as soon as he was drafted, someone noticed that he has a tattoo. It's an American flag with the Roman numeral 3 in the place where the stars go, and 13 stars around the Roman numeral 3. It represents a group called the 3%ers. 3% is allegedly the number of American revolutionaries who fought the British. I didn't know there was only 3%, and I guess that's in question, but that's what it represents. And they're a right-wing group, Second Amendment group. And he was asked about it by somebody. I don't know. He immediately was asked about it, and he explained, and he said he completely, said he regrets it, said he's going to cover it up, says it's nothing. He got it as, here's his explanation.
I don't like that.
I got the tattoo when I was a teenager. I had a lot of family in the military. I thought it stood for our military support symbol at the time.
Well, that's a lie.
Obviously, it evolved into something that I did not want to represent. When I look back on it, I should have done way more research before I put any mark or symbol like that on my body. It's not something I want to represent. It will be covered. So I ask you, Turtle Boy and Cullinane, what else can the guy do? I mean, he just said.
Well, first of all, it's a lie. He could tell the truth. They have pictures of him from high school and in his early college days, standing in the dorm rooms, no shirt on. He has no tattoos. It's a lie. He did not have the tattoo when he was young. He got it somewhat recently.
He got it when he was at URI. So he was like a sophomore. They got
pictures of him at URI with no tattoo on.
He's only 21 now, so clearly it's not. I mean, say he was 19. So what? What's wrong with that?
He acted like he got it along. He got it recently. It's somewhat recent, and just own it. Stand by it. Why is he lying? Just stand by it.
Stand by what? He just said, "I don't believe in this. I don't believe. I'm going to cover it up."
That's the exact opposite of standing by it. What are you talking about?
Okay, so what if he says, "Yes, I'm a white supremacist"? You think it'll just go away?
Just say,
that's cool. He was honest.
And shit. What? You just say I'm a crazy gun nut. That's it. I'm a right-wing gun nut. Who cares?
That works. I'm sure everybody, all the media, people in the media that you know, all the ESPN, all the far left people in the media.
Are you kidding me right now? This is how we're starting off Monday. Do you know anything about liberals? You don't apologize to them. You never apologize to the mob. You just say, "No, I like guns and shit. I'm crazy." You don't say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I regretted it."
It was a long
time ago.
Let me see
what are you talking about?
Let me see if I have this right. He's going to say, "I have guns and shit." That's his explanation.
Yes, that's all you say. I like guns. I'm a freaking gun nut. It's better than saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I changed my ways. I used to be into white supremacist groups, and now I'm not anymore. You think they're going to give him a pass?
Can I? It's a good question. No, they're not going to give him a pass. And I shouldn't say no, none. I mean, I think there are a lot of sports reporters who would like to see it go away and just don't want to deal with it. You know who I'm talking about. Lots of beat guys, football guys. They don't want to deal with this kind of stuff.
You mean like guys who complain that nobody asks about it or does any homework on Twitter, but they also didn't ask about it or do any homework?
Who was that? Is that
Albert Breer?
Albert Breer. I said no one asked Belichick about it. You know what? In defense of whoever, Mike Reese or Tom Curran, you're going to ask Belichick about his kicker's tattoo. What the hell do you think he's going to say? He's going to just dismiss that out of hand. He's not going to answer. He's not going to give you any explanation at all. But back to the kicker, Justin Rohrwasser. Maybe he was dumb, thought it looked cool. Maybe he's a gun guy. But do you think he's a white supremacist? You said it, Turtle Boy. He's in a locker room with a bunch of black guys. He's at Marshall. You think he is a white supremacist? Because that's what Jemele Hill said flat out. He is a white supremacist, which is she just
Jemele Hill's a freaking moron. Who takes Jemele Hill seriously?
It's a good question. I'm sitting there reading her stuff, reading a couple of her articles and and lots of her tweets. She's a terrible writer, first of all.
Awful.
She makes, she was a total failure on TV. That show she did with Michael Smith was a total flop.
She got fired for all-time low ratings.
Right.
She literally urged ESPN followers to boycott their own advertisers over Jerry Jones's comments.
Good point. And so they dump her. She immediately, or soon after, gets a job at the Atlantic writing. I mean, she's not good on TV. She's worse in print. She's not a good columnist. She's not a good writer. You know what she has going for her? You want to talk about the media today?
Identity politics is what she has going for her.
And she hates Trump. I mean, she hates Trump. That's the most important thing. Bill Simmons just hired her to do a podcast.
You can hate Trump all you want, Jerry, but she checks the right boxes. That's the matter. That's a politically incorrect thing to say, but that's a matter of fact. Jemele Hill is where she is today, not in spite of racism, but because of previous racism that she's now benefiting from.
Right. And she calls Trump a white supremacist, which is absurd. She calls this kid, and he's 21. Maybe he's a dope. Maybe he just thought this thing looked cool. He's got some stupid tattoos, all over him. And he's just trying to look like a badass. I don't think he's a white supremacist. Maybe you're right. He's a gun guy, a gun nut. There's lots of gun nuts in the NFL. No big deal if he said that. But do you honestly think that he thinks the white race is superior, which is what a white supremacist? Of course not. It's absurd.
Well, maybe kicking field goals they are. I don't know. It seems I don't know.
Yeah, that's his world. Maybe, we're better kickers.
Yeah.
You know why? Because the black guys are busy playing the game. All you do is kick. But it is amazing to me how cavalier we can be about this. I mean, this is the greatest double standard there is in the world. You can literally say a kid, a 21-year-old with a tattoo is a white supremacist without knowing a thing about him, without doing any research. Just look at a friggin' tattoo. And Jemele Hill writes, covering up your white supremacist tattoo doesn't matter if you still think like a white supremacist. Now, how does she know what he thinks about anything? She doesn't do it. I mean, this is yesterday. Then she writes, Saturday. Then she writes, Patriots kicker is a white supremacist. My bad. He tends to like white supremacist things. Carry on. Nothing to see here. I mean, she can't even write a tweet that's coherent. She's that bad a writer. But my favorite one of these, and this was bound to happen as soon as you heard word that this tattoo was controversial. Mike Freeman wrote when he was writing about Aaron Hernandez, who had gang tats, and it turned out he was.
Oh yeah, I heard of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turned out he was
the guy you killed.
We should have been judging him on his tattoos because he was a gang guy and a killer. Mike Freeman headlined his story. You can't judge players by their tattoos. He literally wrote a story with the headline, you can't judge players by their tattoos, while judging Justin how do you say his freaking name again?
Rohrwasser.
Rohrwasser. Justin Rohrwasser. But
what's being lost in this is the real tragedy of this all. The real scandal is that the Patriots took a freaking kicker in the 5th round of the NFL draft when there was real football players left.
That's the real
a guy from URI.
Well, he was too good.
URI. That's what he couldn't even play for URI. He wasn't good enough. Went 15 for 20 for field goals.
We'll see. What if he turns out to be a great kicker, a big upgrade on Gostkowski? You'll say
he won't. I got news. He's not going to.
But that's not the big. That's not the big story. We're going to get to the big story. We're going to get to the big story. But maybe I'm going to step in it here. I've done that before, and maybe I'll end up apologizing. But if you guys
Turtle Boy and I can do the show tomorrow. So if you step in it, Turtle Boy will take over tomorrow.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Turtle Boy's got the following here. We are live. We are Facebooking live again.
And your biggest audience. Shockingly, this is going to be your biggest audience of the week on Facebook.
Turtle Riders are chiming in. You can, since you don't really know much about this topic, you can just read the comments if you'd like. But this 3%er group that he has the tattoo to represent, this 3%er. I can't find where they're white supremacists. I mean, I'm reading everything, Googling everything, and reading about it.
Jerry, it doesn't matter. It's anonymous. If you like guns, by definition, you're a white supremacist. That's how it works.
Okay, but wouldn't that be relevant? I mean, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but I'm literally reading the Washington Post. And there's no evidence that this group believes the white race is superior. Anything. I mean, wouldn't that matter if they're just a Second Amendment rights group? Now they were accused.
Let me guess, Jerry. The SPLC labeled them a hate group. I'm assuming that's usually what these people go by.
By the way, good one. You didn't even have to. You didn't even have to do any homework. The Southern Poverty Law Center. Deadspin has a story about how this group is white supremacist, racist, and Deadspin. Deadspin's a joke. They're just knee-jerk.
They're back though. They went MIA for like 6 months there.
Right, I know. And
after everyone quit, now they got a bunch of scabs coming in.
Every reference to this group and why they're fanatics or whatever, extremists, is a reference to their categorizing by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And I understand some people are stupid. They think the Southern Poverty Law Center is like legit. But if you keep it up, if you're paying attention, it is not. It is these left-wing, far left grifters. The Southern Poverty Law Center has almost $500 million in the bank. Much of it stored in these offshore accounts. $500 million. It is a scam
They labeled Ben Carson and Hersey Ali on the hate list. There's a Muslim, a former Muslim woman, and the black guy. So it's like, and they're in the hate groups.
Ben Carson's an extremist. The guy you see in these press conferences now. I mean, say what you want about him. He's a conservative, and he's a Christian, and he's a brain surgeon. I don't think any rational person would say he's a dangerous extremist. The Family Research Council, FRC. Obviously, a traditional values group, a family-oriented.
They're on it, of course.
They're a hate group. There are 900 and they say there are like 1,000 hate groups, and then you click and you see it's just anybody, to the right of friggin' Nancy Pelosi is a hate group or an extremist. That's how it works. But I'm telling you, I mean, you can keep looking, and maybe there's other stories, but. About this group, but I can't find it where they're, espousing white supremacy. They're, like you said, they're gun guys. And this Washington Post, same thing. Southern Poverty Law Center, militia groups. They're all hate groups. And, maybe some of them are. I mean, definitely some of them are, but I don't see where the 3%ers, Michael Vanderboe, founder of the 3%ers, Washington Post calls them an anti-government group, that he fought against white supremacists and neo-Nazis all my life. He said the 3%ers at that, the Charlottesville thing, they were allegedly fighting on the side of the bad guys, the Nazis and the Klan and all that. He says he ordered his group to stand down and disassociate himself from the rally's racism, to keep from being tainted by news outlets that will most certainly report that we've aligned ourselves with white supremacists and Nazis. He did just the opposite. He said, we want no part of them, and denounced them, the groups that were, that were carrying whatever torches that weekend and killed the Heidi Heyer, whatever her name is, the
Heather Heyer.
Heather Heyer, I'm sorry, that ran her down. That guy's doing life, and that's good. But I can't find where the 3%ers are espousing white supremacy. Maybe I'll find it. Maybe I'll keep looking because, maybe
you don't need to find it, Jerry. You're missing the point. The second you get labeled in this box, you have to check the rest of the boxes. You like guns, you say things.
But don't you think this should be the responsibility? If you're going to accuse someone of being a Nazi, shouldn't there be a little bit of evidence?
No, not only should you not.
Oh, yeah, that's the standard. I mean, have you met the left, Jerry? Have you seen these people? I mean, did you miss the Kavanaugh trials? These people don't really do facts or evidence or anything like that. It's just like for the last, it's been like 4 or 5 years now of solid, just everything I don't like is a white supremacist, rapist.
Okay, tell me when.
Unless it's Joe Biden.
When do we just laugh in the face of someone like Jemele Hill?
I've been laughing in her face for a long time. It's fun. I recommend it.
And you know what? You make a good point at the beginning that maybe the kid's not smart enough. He's just a kicker. He went to URI. He went to Marshall. Maybe he's afraid of having some, intellectual debate with somebody if he's getting interviewed and they say, tell me what you like about the 3%ers. His answer is nothing. I don't want any part of them. I just want to kick. Do you understand that from a 21-year-old perspective who just wants to get a job in the NFL and have a career? He doesn't want to sit there and defend the Second Amendment against a whole room full of left-wing media people. I mean, he doesn't want to be bothered. Don't you understand that?
I understand. First of all, he's 21. He doesn't know how to defend himself yet, but he did make a mistake. And I think hopefully he'll look back on this one day and realize, man, I really wish all you have to do is just be like Belichick. It's like, I'm not answering shit. I mean, Belichick has the formula for everything. Just like, we were talking about kicking balls.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he'll get there, but this was right after he got drafted. He literally was asked about this tattoo right after he got drafted. And you know what else he might be afraid of? And you made it the point earlier, Turtle Boy, is he's in a locker room full of black guys. Do you think he wants to be labeled like this? I mean, do you think he wants the media to portray him as a white supremacist?
You play that card. You can't play that. That's playing the black friend card, Jerry. That's not. You can't do that.
No, I'm just saying he's afraid of what they can do to him.
But don't you think this would have already come out by now? Like now we're going on, what is this, 48 hours, almost 72 hours since the draft and since this kind of blew up. People would already be searching his Twitter history and trying to find racist comments on Facebook. I was perusing his Instagram account. I DM'd his kicking coach. Like if I'm doing that, the press is doing that. Nothing has come out yet.
It is a good point. Like in this day and age, normally it is tweets from, a kid when he's 15 that bring them down. We've seen it happen so many times with, players and media people. Look what they tweeted when they were 16. And you're right. When you first heard about this tattoo, you said, oh, here we go. There's going to be more. And there hasn't been, as far as we know. I mean, maybe Jemele.
Because they don't give a shit about the kicker. They give a shit about the fact that the Patriots and Bob Kraft, who supports Donald Trump, just drafted a white nationalist kicker because that's an institutional problem the Patriots have.
But
and Boston in general.
Yeah, you said, what does Jemele Hill do? Jemele Hill brings attention to the fact that the kicker means shit. He's just a byproduct to get to Bob Kraft.
Well, you need,
exactly.
I mean, didn't you guys think there'd be more? I mean, again, I'm not the only one Googling 3%ers and reading the Washington Post and reading the Southern Poverty Law Center's I mean, there is nothing here as far as I can tell. And Cullinane's, one of many who looked at his Twitter history, who looked at his social media and said, or looked in his past, were there any incidents? And they got nothing.
I will say this, Jerry. I will say this. It is kind of weird. Like I remember being that age, especially if you're a football player, you're on campus. Your only concern should be football and chicks and getting drunk. He's too young to be involved in like political groups. What are you doing? The 3%?
I don't think he is. That's why I don't think he is. He doesn't sound.
Why is he getting a tattoo of it?
Because he thinks it looks cool.
That's a little bit weird.
He thinks it looks cool. I'm showing you my tattoo. I got a Navy SEALs tattoo. It looks cool.
I have a shamrock on my chest because of Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed. That's how stupid you are when you're young. All right. That's all this is about.
No, you don't.
And by the way,
tattoo
he's got some other really dumb looking tattoos too. You know, I mean, that's not the only
of
one.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I have a shamrock because Leonardo DiCaprio. I liked the look. I wanted to get a tattoo, and I liked what he had in The Departed. That's all.
That's the gayest thing of it. No,
he's
no
got
offense.
right up his arm. He's got another flag, and then up his arm in big bold letters, Turtle Boy. In big bold letters, he's got liberty or death. I mean, honest to God, he's 20, whenever he was, 19, 20, and he goes in there and gets liberty or death.
But don't you think that's a weird thing for a 19 or 20-year-old? Like, all I could think of as 19 and 20 is like, where am I getting Keystone Light from this weekend? Where are we partying? Where are girls? And I wasn't even on a football team.
Well,
I was on a football team. I had also football to think about. And this guy's thinking about like liberty and death. That's a little bit weird.
He's just thinking about he wants to get a tattoo, and he's researching things that support the military in some way, and that's all he did. And he probably, that's just a guess, but he probably just saw that look cool and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go do that."
Liberty or death,
or military.
He's going to add. He says he's going to get rid of the 3%er flag, but he's going to add to this tattoo. It's going to say liberty or death or lockdown in case of a virus. That's going to be there. It's a little long.
Yeah, or lockdown.
Right. But let's get to the Cullinane mentioned this. The goal, if you're Jemele Hill or Mike Freeman or any of these, I mean, we haven't even seen the usual suspects on ESPN yet. Whatever. They still have Around the Horn. Is that still?
It's still a thing. Oh, sure.
Yeah, probably.
We haven't seen Around the Horn and Max Kellerman and whatever yet. But their goal when they get up today is, how can I connect this kid's, how can I paint this kid as a white supremacist and then connect it and say, Belichick knew, Kraft knew, everybody knew, and they still wanted him because they're all white supremacists. Look, Kraft, is friends with Trump and gave money to his inauguration party, but they got what they were hoping for. At least they got one small connection from my old friend, Lisa Coles, former cheerleading coach of the New England Patriots, who had a cryptic tweet about the Patriots being associated with a racist. And then she wrote, "You period, have period, no period, idea period." Very dramatic tweet.
Yeah.
But she
worked on the Patriots how long ago?
I think she left in 94.
Yeah, when did Kraft buy the team? When did Kraft buy the team? I feel like she worked from like 93 to 96 or something like that.
Yeah, I saw she wasn't there long when Kraft showed up. But, we talked briefly about her before we started recording here. I didn't mention this to you then, but I think you'll be impressed. She was a friend of mine. Her boyfriend at the time, the quarterback, Hugh Millen,
I heard about that.
Was a friend of mine and was the greatest guy. I mean, smart and just the nicest guy. The only real professional athlete I've ever hung out with in my illustrious career. And when Millen was here, we were friends. We double dated, my wife and I, with Hugh and Lisa Coles a couple times. And she was obviously drop dead gorgeous. She's a little long in the tooth now. She's 56, but at the time when she was whatever that was, 30, she was smoking, and she was the head of the cheerleaders. And I was on the committee to pick the cheerleaders, to evaluate to do the tryouts. My wife and I, and Eddie Andelman was on it, and Sean McDonough was on it, and we had to pick cheerleaders.
They turned it like it was kind of like a reality show without the TV cameras and stuff like that.
We watched
media members.
But I think
the
fix was in. I think it was like in high school when kids all vote for captain and the coach throws the ballots away and picks whoever he wants. Yeah. I think she picked whoever she wanted, but we were there and we went through all the tryouts and we had to write down who we voted for and everything. We had lunch. It was fun. It was a bunch of smoking hot girls trying out for a cheerleader. Anyway, she was a friend of mine and my wife's. And here's where her case that she said the Patriots discriminated against her because she was Hispanic. I knew her. I hung out with her. I didn't even know she was Hispanic. Her name was Lisa Coles. She changed it to Lisa Guerrero, which is her mother's maiden name, I believe, when she was trying to get in network TV. And it worked. She's got a few jobs, but she didn't sound it or look. I mean, we didn't talk about it, I guess, but no one knew. She was just a smoking hot, model, actress, whatever you want to call her, I believe from California. So it was news to me that they discriminated against her because she was Hispanic, because no one even knew she was Hispanic. But I didn't know she was, disgruntled. To be honest,
first of all, she's disgruntled for 25, 26 years. What's she going to say? Michael Timpson grabbed my ass in the locker room? What's she going to say?
She grew up in Huntington Beach, California. So she was a California kid, and she seemed like it. She was not a New Englander. I don't think she loved it in New England. And I don't know how long she lasted with Hugh Millen. They obviously didn't, settle down, get married. She ended up marrying, to make the story even more interesting. I think it's pretty interesting. She married Scott Erickson, the pitcher, former Orioles pitcher, and one of the biggest assholes I've ever met in sports. And it's a long story, but Scott Erickson is a dink, and she married him. I think they might still be married.
I believe they are. I saw that yesterday. Yeah.
So you reached out to her yesterday, and she had no
comment.
comment.
And I wish I knew you guys were best friends before I was doing this. Maybe I could have finagled a little bit more out of her. But
you didn't tell me you were reaching out to her. I didn't know you were reaching out to her.
Well, do I have to tell you all these things? Should I have text? Should I tell you?
What was I supposed to do? Text you? We're friends. We used to be friends. Haven't seen her much. Obviously, she's had a long career. She's been on TV. She's been on lots of different shows. I think it's generally
she's on Inside Edition right now.
Right. It generally doesn't end well with Lisa when she loses a job. It doesn't end well. She's had lots of jobs. She's done some acting and modeling, and it's probably a little. She's just turned 56.
Yeah.
So I don't think you get a lot of modeling jobs.
Well, when the tweets were going around yesterday, people, were responding to her. She had a tweet that said the book is going to be good. And so when she responded to me, she said, "I'm not doing any interviews yet regarding my book or my time with the Patriots until the book is ready to publish. We can circle back about this in early 2021. Thanks."
So her accusation, Turtle Boy, is that Jonathan Kraft didn't want her to play so much hip hop and rap. He wanted more heavy metal.
Jonathan was a kid.
What?
Jonathan Kraft?
Jonathan Kraft, the president of the New England Patriots. He didn't want so much hip hop, and which I love that. You're racist because of your music choice. I mean, he wanted more heavy metal or hip or rock and roll. So what? That's what he likes, and that's what he thought maybe the fans would like. And Bob Kraft wanted the cheerleaders in skimpier outfits. Do I have that right, Dave?
Yes. So this is from his attorney. Told the Boston Globe back then. They told his attorney said Jonathan Kraft said he wanted more rock and roll. He didn't want any hip hop stuff. And it was because, let's see, are you telling me you don't want any more black artists? Lisa Coles allegedly asked Mr. Kraft. And he said there are no black people that buy tickets at the games, basically. So
just assume that's true. Assume he said that. I don't, by any means. I don't think Jonathan is too smart to say that. That's what even if he thought that, I don't think, she was one of his trusted confidants. I think he would just say, play more heavy metal. The fans want it. Anyway, so what if he did? What if it's true? What if he said our fans don't want hip hop? That's racist.
I mean, apparently now you have to like rap music. I don't know. I mean, I can understand how they would reach that conclusion. These people don't really need many dots to connect, Jerry.
That's true. If you're just looking to smear him, again, I'd love to hear someone, write the column, write the story, and give me some evidence, support it, because saying that your fans want more, headbang and heavy metal or whatever, that, or what, they want songs that they could sing along to, traditional, whatever, play Kiss, I want to rock and roll all night, those kind of things you play at games. Gary Glitter, of course, nothing wrong with playing a little Gary Glitter. Is that still banned, Gary Glitter? They still ban that at the stadium because he, allegedly went to Thailand and met a young boy or something. Anyway, I don't think that's evidence of racism if he just told him to play, heavy metal. And B, if Bob Kraft told the cheerleaders to wear something skimpier, wouldn't he be one of 27 owners that did that? I mean, at some point, the cheerleader, whether, in Dallas, 40 years ago or every other, at some point, they all got skimpier. The outfits that cheerleaders wear all got skimpier, correct?
Yeah, the Cowboys set the tone. That became a national thing. It became trendy. It became cool. It was all over the TV. Years later, gets its own reality show, for Christ's sake. So I'd say that Bob Kraft was ahead of the curve in the sense of trying to copy that movement.
I can't imagine any fan saying, "Oh, wait, Bob Kraft did that. That's whatever." She's accusing him of being whatever sexist, and then she said they discriminated against her because she's Hispanic. I believe that was in the same story, which is absurd.
Her name was Cole.
Coles, yes, Coles.
Cole. So you discriminate. Okay, gotcha. A white woman named Cole. Gotcha.
Right, and trust me, no one was. She was one of those people. Doors opened. When she walked in the room, people,
Like, was it the music at the games or in the locker room?
At the games, I think, in the crowd.
Do they realize that rap music has a lot of foul language in it that might have something to do with it too?
Maybe they wanted to play the the edited version or whatever, but she wanted the cheerleaders to dance to it, and they told her to play more, rock and roll. Which, again, how is that? Whatever. Well, it's you're right. We're wasting too much time on it. It's stupid. Well, maybe when her book comes out, Dave, we'll get her on. We'll talk to her because I didn't see it. I felt like I was there. I was front row center. I didn't see it. I don't think she was discriminated against. I don't think they're racist. And I don't think anybody honestly believes that Justin Rohrwasser, what's his last name again?
Rohrwasser, yep.
Rohrwasser is a white supremacist. All he can do at this point, and you're right, maybe they'll savage him because he is telling them what they want to hear. But what if that's what he really thinks, Turtle? But what if he really thinks, I don't want to be involved with this group. I just thought the thing looked cool. What if that's what he really thinks? You expect him to
stand good for him.
Screw you. Fight.
I mean, you own it. You just look bad. You look like a weakling when you start apologizing. You never, ever, ever apologize to social justice warriors, ever. Don't give them an inch. Just stand your ground. And once they realize that they're powerless against you, they can't do anything about it. You just tell them to buzz off, screw off. I'm going to keep saying what I'm saying. And they realize, oh, crap, all of my hashtags and all of my faux outrage doesn't actually amount to anything.
Well, in this case, I don't think it will amount to anything, although he says he's going to get it covered. Covered? What does that mean? How do you cover a tattoo? Cullinane, you must have looked into this. You got that stupid shamrock.
I did. I think there's a lot of pain that goes into covering a tattoo. Unless you're just going to draw right over it, and get a new one to go right over. That's probably the smart play for it.
Do you guys remember Lee Trevino, the golfer? He used to play, and he had a Band-Aid. He had a Band-Aid on his arm all the time because he tattooed his ex-wife's name on there. And I don't think he wanted to get it gouged off. Maybe he's since then it's become easier to do. I don't remember. This was 100 years ago.
I think it's more painful than the actual getting of the tattoo now. I think it's bad.
Do you have tats, Jerry? Do you have any tats?
No. I joked about my Navy SEALs tat. No, but if I did, I'd get one that says there'd be like a heart and it would say "Mom" in the middle. It would be like
it would say Trump. You'd get a Trump one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, sure. There'd be no regrets there, would there? Yeah, I get Trump one. You know how you get rid of a Trump tattoo? You just put a little Clorox bleach on. It comes right off.
That's
but if this kid, now he's going to show up every day and people are going to look at his tattoo and wonder, when are you getting rid of that? When are you covering that up? Maybe you could turn it into something else. It's an American flag with the 3% thing in the middle of where the stars are. Plus 13 star flags are racist. You knew that, right? The colonial flag.
Yes, that's right. We learned that last July 4th. That's racist too.
Correct,
that's Iraq flag.
You can't. Obama used the flag. It was fine. And then Trump used that very same flag. It was racist. So this
they don't like odd numbers in general, Jerry. 3, 13.
This kid is going to have to he said he's going to cover it up. So if that means a Band-Aid, maybe he'll just wear long sleeves. But think about, like I said, he's got a bunch of dumb tattoos, including some that he did himself. He did himself with a needle. Now that, to me, proves that he
did his own tattoo.
Yeah, that proves he's a kicker. If he were a linebacker or special teams gunner, you'd say, sure, he's insane. But this guy's a kicker, and he's gouging up his own arms and chest. It's like, I always look at college kids who are covered with tats and wonder, how do you afford that? I mean, you look at some kids in college. Hell, look at the Tiger King guys. All the husbands of Joe Exotic are just covered. Literally, I asked someone this one time. I don't know who it was. It was like a college, football player. And I asked someone, I said, how much do you think those tattoos cost? And, all of them, they were covered. It was like sleeves up the arms. And this guy estimated $10,000. $10,000.
For the kicker, $10,000 worth of tattoos.
No, I'm not saying this kicker. I forget who it was. It was just a football player. And I asked someone younger who knew what they were talking about, said, give me an estimate. What do all those tats cost? And the estimate was 10 grand. Now, when you were in college, when I was in college, I mean, if you had money for a Domino's pizza, you felt like, you were flush. How do you have money like that when you're in college for tats?
I don't know. You go, you work, get a summer job, you start lifeguarding. I don't know.
That's against the rules. If you're on scholarship, you can't do that. You
can't work during the summer at all. If you're on scholarship,
or is it just during the school year? I don't know, but you can. But your summer is like 2 weeks long. You got to report in early August.
Have you seen Aaron Hernandez's prison boyfriend? I mean, that's a $50,000 guy right there. Then,
so how does he? Kyle, is it Kyle Kennedy?
Kyle Kennedy. Yes.
Where does he get $10,000 to tattoo his whole body up?
Is that a real question? I think we all know where he gets $10,000 from, Jerry.
From where?
Need to go.
From Aaron?
There's a thing called heroin.
Hold on.
And then somebody brings it in.
Turtle Boy. I learned this from Mike Freeman. Do not judge people on their tattoos. That would be wrong.
Oh, I judge.
That would be wrong.
Mike Freeman can choose not to, but I judge.
You know my theory, right? And it was illuminated like never before last night on the third and fourth episode of the Jordan documentary, Last Dance, which was excellent. Did you watch any of it?
I did. I watched part 4 especially. I missed the first part 3.
The part about Rodman and Carmen Electra was the best part yet. I've seen all 4 episodes. It's good. A lot of times you feel like you know what's going on. The whole big Bad Boys thing with the Pistons. I feel like I've heard it before. It was good, but I feel like it was reviewing old news. I'd never heard the story of Rodman demanding a vacation, getting 48 hours to go.
48 hours, yeah.
And they actually show him, I've never seen this video before, walking to his motorcycle, drinking a beer, finishes the beer, gets on his motorcycle, takes off, and heads to Vegas. He goes to Vegas for 48 hours with his friends, his posse, and Carmen Electra. And I'm telling you, we used to talk about this occasionally on the radio, the biggest mismatches in human history, Rick Ocasek from the Cars and Paula, whatever her name was, Pestre Focus, the model.
I have no idea who these people are, Jerry.
Okay, who do you think is the biggest mismatch in history? Since,
Rick
it's part of the show.
Cars, I don't even know what that means.
Who's
the biggest mismatch?
Ocasek? Yeah.
I don't know. I have to think about that. Give me some time. I'll think of something.
We don't have time. This is we're live.
I think they were a great match. Carmen Electra and Dennis Rodman.
Is dazzling. She's a spectacular looking woman.
When did they shoot these? Because Carmen Electra looks better. Like, did they shoot those interviews 5 years ago?
She is glittery, and she's in her 50s, right?
She looks amazing.
You definitely Googled her nudes last night. There's no way you didn't Google the nudes.
I mean, I have them bookmarked years ago. I don't need to Google them.
So they go party in Vegas.
Google image. You did it.
48 hours. He needed a vacation, like the party ever ended with the guy. But anyway, a lot of to Rodman's past and Rodman, the way he played. And, you see the number, 7 times he had 20 rebounds and 0 points in his career. 7.
I did look at the stats last night. I forgot about what a freak he was. He's only 6'7", 18 rebounds a game.
Total freak. And by the way, he would get a whole bunch of offensive rebounds and refuse to even try to score. He'd kick it back out, which was not a strength. I mean, when you get a offensive rebound, you're supposed to put it back in, and he didn't do that. But anyway, he took pride in not scoring. It was like a cool thing. I don't score. I rebound. I play defense. And he was great at it. But he goes to Vegas, and they know he's not going to come back at the end of 48 hours. They know he's not going to keep his word. They go to Vegas. Michael Bleepin Jordan goes to Las Vegas, from Chicago, I guess, to Vegas, finds his hotel, knocks on his door. Carmen Electra's like hiding in the bathroom or something, and gets him out of bed and gets him to come back to the team. Now, that is a great story that tells you all you need to know about Rodman's value.
That's where this whole thing, by the way, because last week weren't we talking about how this thing is so overhyped? This is where it's getting good. We need the inside stories like this, We need the running story, like how basically he's hung over his shit after a bender in Las Vegas. Jordan's trying to get the whole team to run, just jog, and here's Rodman, who's just beaming past everybody because he's a beast. We need stories like that. I don't really give a shit about the basketball history. I know
Rodman always looked like a sprinter to me. Always looked like you're a track guy, Turtle, like the 400-meter guy or something, or 200-meter guy.
The discus.
Ran on his toes, long strides, fast, athletic, but couldn't shoot, couldn't score. But my theory is always the more you try to look. I forget how I used to put this, but the more rebellious you look, the less substance you have. Like the more tattoos,
the more chicks like Carmen Electra are attracted to you.
The more hair.
That's why it's a perfect match.
Do you think if he didn't play in the NBA, she would give him the time of day? I mean, Madonna.
She could have any NBA player she wanted. She chose Dennis Rodman. Why?
But when you hear him talk, and they did this part of the documentary, they give you the subtitles. Every time he talks, I'm like, where are the subtitles? He's just gibberish. He's got an empty brain. I mean, there's no.
Well, he's very sad right now, Jerry. His good friend Kim Jong-un is very sick. Right. They're dead. One of those.
Yeah, he'll want to go to the funeral if they have one, but we haven't confirmed that yet. Is that still just reported by CNN?
Every day I hear a different news outlet confirm it. It doesn't matter who the hell's in charge. Although they're very progressive, they're going to get a female president before us, Jerry.
They are. They're going to have an evil female dictator before us, which we thought was impossible because Hillary was supposed to win, and we were going to have our
female dictator that makes people disappear.
We were going to have ours. We were going to have our own female evil dictator. They're going to have an evil female dictator who's going to carry out the same agenda as her brother. But let's be honest, he wasn't going to live to old age anyway. He was a disgusting fat slob who smoked and drank and wasn't going to live forever.
300 anyway. Pounds, Jerry. 300 freaking pounds.
Yeah, and
people. I mean, I understand they're brainwashed and they're traumatized people, but none of them ever asked, like, if this guy is so omnipresent, why is he such a fat piece of shit? That never came up. Like, I'd be like,
but we haven't confirmed it yet, have we? You should get on that, Turtle Boy. You're the best reporter in New England. Why don't you?
I'll ask my guys. I'll ask my Pyongyang turtle riders.
Call your sources and find out if Kim Jong-un is still with us. But it's a good question. Will Rodman go to the funeral? Because Rodman, he tries so hard to be the rebel with the colored hair and the nose rings and the motorcycle, sunglasses and everything else. There's two things I think. A, he's dumb as a rock. He doesn't have a profound thought in his head. And every time you see him sitting there, you say, okay, tell us something, tell us something wacky. And he's got nothing. He's not funny. He's not, profound. And he appears to me, at least, to be an alcoholic. Like he's always got a drink. He's always, partying. They showed him in Vegas. He's just doing shot after shot. I think that was, the problem at the time. They couldn't rely on him because he was, a hardcore alcoholic. I'm not sure if he still is, but that was the issue. They just didn't know which Rodman was going to show up. But that's only.
Does anyone, by the way, can we compare this to what we like Tom Brady or who else could we name? Like, does anybody do what Jordan did? Do you think they go after a guy like Rodman, who is just this crazy character? He's on a bender, and Michael Jordan's going to save the day in that situation.
Brady wanted Antonio Brown to stick around.
I was going to say Brady let Antonio Brown live in his house.
That's true,
and he did not want to get rid of him. So I think Brady has some tolerance for that. For let's be honest. He loved Randy Moss. Randy Moss could be trouble. He was at the end. He forced his way out of New England. But I was thinking, Jordan is he's so handling this so well. He's just sitting there, letting the whole story come to him. He's got a drink next to him. He doesn't look great. His eyes are all bloodshot. And he's a little, I guess when you play 36 holes a day and drink tequila all day, you're not going to look good. But he's just handling this well. He's getting paid a lot, and he's just sitting there saying, "Bring the stories to me, and I'll comment on them." It was interesting to hear that he still hates Isaiah Thomas, which I like, because Isaiah Thomas is the biggest phony. The thing missing from the whole Pistons segment was Bill Laimbeer. Why no Laimbeer? He just refused to do it because if you're going to talk about what assholes the Pistons were, you got to have the biggest asshole in the world on there, don't you? Do you think he just said, "No, I'm not doing it"? because he's that kind of guy. He probably said
they got no quotes from him whatsoever.
Nothing that I've seen. Maybe maybe it comes later, but they seem to get everybody. I mean, they got Bird, they get Magic, they get all the principals, they certainly got all the Bulls. They got no Jerry Krause though. Poor Jerry
Krause. That's him on the plane, right? The fat guy.
Yeah, but he's the fat guy dancing, but he's just the villain, and he's no longer with us. And I believe, right?
Well, I didn't know that. I know he's dead.
I mean, he doesn't look.
I don't know. Is he alive? I don't freaking know.
He looks worse than.
I care about Jerry Krause
because he's kind of a big part of this. You're not watching it, huh? You're not keeping up.
I watched part 4. He was alive in part 4.
All you're doing is watching your guys catch the Predators, huh? Catch the.
And Ratchet Madness, Jerry. There's a big tournament going on right now.
Oh, Ratchet Madness. I'm sorry.
Yes,
but
big deal.
Let me confirm that because Jerry Krause is the villain. Everyone, they all hated Jerry Krause. They bonded. He died in 2017, which is no surprise because he is never appeared to be the picture of health. I'll say that, but
they had footage of him talking about how much he didn't want to sign Rodman in that episode 3, didn't they?
Yeah, they have lots of footage. Yeah. He's just not there anymore to defend himself, which is fine. Who cares? It is amazing. There was comparisons last week. I heard a lot of these comparisons of Krause and Reinsdorf to Belichick and Kraft because they're letting Tom Brady walk the way the Bulls let Jordan walk. Jordan was 34, I believe, when he retired the first time, and was the MVP of the league, and was the scoring champ, and was the best player in the league. Brady's almost 43 and not the best player anymore. I think there's a big difference here. But I mean, they let the best player ever, walk away. They didn't accommodate him. And normally I'd say, good, he's just a player, but man, they had a good thing going, and they just let it, because they couldn't get along. They let the best player.
Could have won 8 in a row, Jerry. 8 in a row. Wouldn't that be fun?
That's true. 6. He won 3 and then 3. Correct. 3 and then 3, and he was the MVP every time.
Yes, and he came back there in the 90. During the second year, he came back kind of halfway through, but it was too late. I want to say, don't hold me to that.
These highlights are awesome to watch. There's nobody like him. There's no, you can't make the case for LeBron James when you see the way Jordan played. And by the way, that layup when he went up with his right hand and then switched to his left,
that was awesome.
Totally unnecessary. As you saw last night, it
was a little bit. It was so cool though. You never see it.
Oh, it was very cool, but it was totally. You look, and there's nobody there to block him. He just did it for show, which is fine. I was entertained by that too. But all right, let me get to Shea, and then we're gonna. You and I, we're leading the charge here. Turtle Boy and I are gonna, at least in New England, we're gonna lead the reopening. Are you up for that? We're gonna carry the flag, demand.
Oh, I'll be the guy out there running around with the flag. Absolutely.
Good. Get ready for that. We'll get one of those 3%er flags, just to get people.
Yeah, I'll leave my AR-15 at home though.
But let me talk about Shea Concrete first. Shea Concrete. All right, this is for you homeowners and you home builders. My brother-in-law Greg and the folks at Shea Concrete have a huge selection of precast concrete steps, whether you're building a new home or you need to replace an old stair. Shea has great values with designs for any home, available in concrete or customized with beautiful stone, granite, or brick. You know what you can do today? You can get online at sheaconcrete.com, or you can go up and see them. They got 4 state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities all over New England, and they're open for business. They're essential. Of course they're essential. They're essential, and they're doing what they have to do. They're keeping their distance, taking precautions, but they are open, and this is a good time to do your spring project. You want to improve your house, want to improve the value of your home? Here's what you can do. Get a new staircase. It can dramatically upgrade the front entrance of your home. In most cases, they can remove your old stairs and have you walking up your new front steps within hours. Those prom pictures you're going to take because there's no prom, you're only going to be out in the front steps, or those graduation pictures, photos you're going to take in front of the house because you can't go anywhere else. Well, this is a way to make those pictures even better. New front steps. Call Shea Concrete or get online at sheaconcrete.com. You can learn more about their precast concrete steps at sheaconcrete.com. That's sheaconcrete.com. All right, Turtle Boy and Dave, Cullinane. I went out Saturday. I left the house. I tweeted this out, and it's true. I drove for the first time in 2 weeks. I didn't drive a car in 2 weeks, which is so weird. It's the first time, I think, in 40 years or something. And I actually put on pants that had like a belt. I didn't wear sweatpants for the first time in 6 weeks. They're just jeans, but I hadn't worn jeans. I wore nothing but sweats for 6 weeks.
So you did you actually did something like to put on jeans with a.
Yeah, I know. It was weird.
Wow.
I dressed up. It was my wedding anniversary, so we took a ride up the coast, up to Gloucester.
Oh,
and we were going to just walk around, brought the dog. I mean, what can you do? So we said, we'll get some food, like fried clams. We're going to get some, cheat meal, have some good seafood. We couldn't find a place that you could get in and get an order, takeout order. Obviously, you can't sit down, get a takeout order. We couldn't find one that wasn't totally mobbed, that you didn't have to wait an hour. The place, people were out. There was traffic on the highways. People are itchy. This is concrete evidence that people are ready to open up again, because I went out for a drive and there were people everywhere. We went by a cheesecake factory, right? We weren't going to go there, but we drove by one. There had to be 25 cars in line to get takeout at the Cheesecake Factory, which nothing against the Cheesecake Factory, but it wasn't, special. We thought getting seafood up in Gloucester area was kind of special. So, we'll go up there. We couldn't, the places were mobbed. People can't not wait. I'm now going to disagree with you completely, Cullinane. When these restaurants open up, people will go to them.
Yeah, and I disagree with myself. This has gone on long enough. I am ready. I'm over it.
Nice.
Wow.
I have no take. Quarantine Cullinane is coming around. Is that right?
It's everything is just basically based on frustration. Like now, and you're right. Like I said, I wouldn't go to restaurants. I'd go sit down in a restaurant. Now, do I want there to be limited capacity in said restaurant compared to when I used to go?
There will be, yes.
Yeah, and that's it. So that's my only thing.
I love these.
All it took was one nice day. I'm telling you. Once the summer comes, you cannot cage people in their homes when the weather's nice. Like every single trailhead in central Massachusetts had a line of cars just down the street. And it forces people to all be in, once again, the same places. You saw the Home Depot line that the Turtle Boy Twitter account put out the other day. You're forcing people to all go to the same places, which completely defeats the purpose of all of this. And people are starting to realize, wait a minute, I'm willing to take a chance. Like Governor Cuomo, moron, says that it's all worth it if it saves one life. Is it really? Because I think that's complete bullshit. I don't think it's worth it to save one life. I think it's
absurd.
Imagine the founding fathers had that, idea. Like, well, we can't fight the British because what if somebody dies? Somebody might die. It's all worth it if we could save one life. No, it's not. It's such a ridiculous.
It is so
attitude.
ignorant. It is so ignorant, and I've completely flipped on Cuomo. At the first, I thought he was in control. I was impressed. He's a fool. And by the way, these people who accuse Trump of having blood on his hands, no one has more blood on their hands than Andrew Cuomo. He is overseeing this disaster in New York City. And one of the things that he's done that has killed people was ordered nursing homes to take in coronavirus patients, ordered nursing homes to accommodate people with coronavirus. I mean, I'm not sure, because he's a good liberal, there won't be a lot of digging on this, but if you can actually track it and see how many people in those nursing homes lost their lives compared to other nursing homes where they didn't do that, that is all on Cuomo. And you're right. Cuomo said a couple things. First of all, he said that if it saves one life, which is so ignorant that any leader who says that is not fit for office. It's just so stupid. Secondly, 100%. When they were asking him the other day about people being itching to get back to work and impatient and dying to get back to work, and he said his advice to them, and you can find this, Cullinane, was if you want to work, why don't you get an essential job, like him, essential job. Now, people want to go back to work because they have bills to pay, because they're worried about their mortgage and their rent and their kids' school. And this a-hole is telling them, the alternative is to get a job as whatever, an EMT or something, a nurse, where you'd be essential. And they said I forget the follow-up question. And he said, this is a life or death issue. The alternative is death. death. What are you talking about? People want to go back to work in an office and keep their distance.
Most people who get it also live. What are you talking? Like I mean, I get it, and I'm not afraid of coronavirus. We've been over this before. It's like the alternative is not death, and even if it is, who cares? Like it's like saying I'm not going to get in a car because I might get in a car accident and die.
Precisely, and I think the reason people are going to join us in this movement, and we were way ahead of the curve on this, saying that that we have to open up the country. We have to let people go back to work and save their businesses and save their jobs. Is they're learning more. I mean, every day people are learning more. They're reading more, and they understand now that sunlight, outdoors is a good thing. And they're watching.
And Jerry, here's why people are going to come around. I got an email the other day from a guy who used to be pro lockdown, right? He's a good liberal. He does his job. And his breaking point with this was that he went into Ace Hardware on Chandler Street in Worcester. He goes in there and they would not allow him in because he did not have a mask on. The mandatory mask stuff is where people are going to finally say, enough is enough. I'm not doing this crap. This is insane. Well, first of all, where are you even supposed to get? Do you have a mask? Do you wear a mask? I don't have a mask.
I have one, but I haven't worn it yet. I'm waiting for someone, a cop or someone demand that I wear it, but I've not worn one yet. I mean, I've read up. When you go outside, you're not vulnerable. When you go outside, that's the best place to be. Out taking a walk, or going for a run on a nice day. That is the best, safest place to be. There is no evidence of transmission outside.
But do you believe the majority of people that you just bump into at a grocery store believe that masks help in this situation? I would say the majority of people think that masks help right now. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
It helps psychologically. It makes them feel better.
Okay, so people think that right now. So that emailer who you think is set off by the mask issue, what a non-issue to be set off by. Like, just wear the fucking mask. Wear the fucking mask.
Well, no, just wear the mask.
Yes.
Just get in line, sheep. Just wear the mask. Who cares? Wear the star, right? I mean, just do it. Oh, who cares? Just wear it. Like, what are you talking about? You hate freedom, Cullinan. What's your problem? Wear the mask.
I think what you're learning is people are saying that they're reading up, they're realizing going outside is not a bad thing. So they know the government doesn't really know what it's doing. If it's enforcing a curfew or it's busting the father playing catch with his kid in the park, and we see all the stories, or the paddleboarder, or every day in the beaches now, we see different stories of people getting arrested or harassed by cops. Ben Shapiro has a story today about a 93-year-old couple sitting in chairs on the beach, 93 years old. So obviously, they're just trying to get some air, some sun. Cops tell them they can sit on the sand. They can't sit in a chair. Sitting in chairs against the law. So a 93-year-old couple has to sit their asses in the sand so the more of these insane stories we hear, the more we realize that the government is out of control and really doesn't know what it's doing. I mean, again, Jerome Adams, the Surgeon General, said a month ago or 6 weeks ago that masks were bad for you. They didn't recommend them because it made you touch your face and it give you a false sense of security. They recommended you not wear them. And he was either ill-informed or he was lying so that people didn't use up masks. But either way, so now they're saving lives. The same people telling you not to do this are now telling you must do it, which makes people.
Where do you buy a mask? Where can I buy a mask, Jerry? Where do I buy a mask? You tell me.
I don't know. I told I had a neighbor knock on the door, didn't even know the guy, and just handed me a mask because he went around the neighborhood.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that didn't happen to me. I don't know.
You can make your own. I mean, that's what people are doing. You're a runner. You know those things you wear like around your neck on a cold winter day?
Yeah.
Just pull it up. Get a scarf.
Can you just go like this? Can you just cover your mouth? Can
you
do that? Is that against the rules?
That's against the rules. But
what a dumb hill to die on.
Yeah, okay? I agree. I agree with Cullinan in this regard. If they're going to do this at my grocery store very soon, they're going to say you can't come in without a mask. I'll just put a mask on because it's not really that inconvenient.
It's not hard, turtle boy. You don't have to make everything into this crazy issue that you like. Just
get in line. Just get in line. Yeah, just do little things here and there.
You're getting what you need. You just had to put a stupid mask on. Get over it. Return to normal. Let's go.
Here's what's turning the tide is these crazy stories again of the 93-year-old couple who can't sit in chairs. They have to sit on Yesterday, this story broke and it went viral. It was unbelievable. In Texas, Laredo, Texas. Sounds like, place that they would encourage you to get out and live your life, have a little bit of freedom and liberty. like the kicker says, liberty or death. Texas, they generally would live by that credo, but the police in Laredo, Texas ran a sting operation where they sent undercover officers to people's homes, one of them to get a manicure and one to get a haircut. And they busted the people. I have the story in front of me. They arrested the women doing this in their homes. So these women are cutting people's hairs in their homes, wearing masks and gloves and cutting people's hair because they need a haircut, or doing their nails because what else they got to do? They send in undercover officers because they got a tip to their tip line. So some nosy neighbor, some neighborhood narc called the Laredo cops and said, excuse me, emergency line here. I got a neighbor. I think she's painting people's toenails against the decree from the mayor. So they send in a cop and they bust the woman. She's out on $500 bail. They arrested Annabelle Isabel Castro Garcia, 31, after she allegedly agreed to provide an undercover officer, wait, ready for this? With a manicure. Not a kilo.
Bob Kraft special.
Not a kilo, not a BJ, not a gun, a weapon, or whatever, not drugs, a manicure. She was charged with, get ready for this one, quote, violation of Emergency Management Plan C. She was taken into jail for booking, and she was held on $500 bond. That is incredible. This is Texas.
Jerry, at what point do police officers just say, I'm not enforcing that? I'm not doing that.
Good question. I threw that out there on Twitter and said, when does a cop? And I got all kinds of responses from cops saying, I wouldn't do it. Some say, hey, what's the big deal? But I think most cops would say no, particularly going undercover. And you go in and say, yeah, I need a hacker.
You like your job? Is this fun? This is what you signed up to do? It's embarrassing.
A few cops said you would, you could file a complaint, say there was unreasonable order, and you could go to the union and you would be fine, that they wouldn't have to do this. Here's the next woman who was arrested by the Laredo police. Brenda Stephanie Maida was arrested after she reportedly agreed to perform eyelash service inside her home for an undercover cop. Eyelash service. Yeah. She was also in jail, being held on $500 bail for offering to do whatever you do to someone's eyelashes during the lockdown.
And what's her last name?
Last name is M-A-T-A, Mata. She's only 20.
What point did this?
She's trying to.
What time is she Latina, Jerry?
I don't know. Probably it's.
At what point does this become racial profiling? Everybody you're naming is a Latina woman.
It's a good question, but I thought, and if they start busting nail salons, a lot of, hardworking immigrants there. Or massage parlors. You know how that works. A lot of hardworking immigrants there. Maybe you're right.
Oh, they're hardworking.
But here's the thing. These people are trying to just survive. They're flipping up people's eyelashes for what, 20, 30 bucks? Trying to survive, trying to pay bills, trying to buy food. And these assholes in the police department in the city are arresting them and holding them on $500 bail. And they'll probably get fined, whatever, $500. I just need an explanation. Did you see, I tweeted this one out yesterday too, this cop who was harassing people in New Hampshire who were surfing.
Yep, that's the new thing.
Surfing. Can someone help me out with that? That's against the rules, against the order.
Yes, because you might give the sharks coronavirus, Jerry. We can't. These idiots. The only people worse than the staying home folks are the shark people. Wait till the summer comes around. Don't even get me started on shark people. But they're probably one and the same. They don't want the sharks to get coronavirus because we have to keep these man-eating beasts alive because they own the entire ocean. They can't even give us one little beach area of an entire blue world. But I would assume that's the reasoning behind it because it makes no other sense to ban surfing.
Manchester Union leader. They have a cop who's a surfer, and he says he finds it hard to pass up a good wave, but he is, because the beaches are closed, ready, to help quell the pandemic. And he's out there chasing surfers out of the water. Question for you, officer, or chief of police or mayor or whoever made this ruling. How does closing the beach, keep kicking people out of the water, quell the pandemic? I know it's a simple question. I say this every day, and Cullinan, you're sick of hearing it, but I don't care. I ask one thing of the mayors and governors and chiefs of police. When you make a new rule, right? When you make a rule, when you come down with a decree, an edict, you got to tell me why. Why is there a curfew in Boston? Why do you have to wear a mask? Why do you have to get out of the water? Why does the 93-year-old have to sit on the sand? Why can't the woman flip someone's eyelashes around for $20? Tell me why, and maybe I'll consider following your rule. If you don't, Turtle Boy and me and the rest of our all the turtle riders and the Califans, we're going to get torches and we're going to get pitchforks and we're going to storm the castle. That's what we're going to do.
If
no rifles.
Because if it could save just one life, Jerry, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Even death by jellyfish.
Don't you think at this point you're saving lives by letting people out of their homes? I mean, I know we say this all the time, and God knows there's evidence of this, but did you see the suicide hotline in Los Angeles is up 8,000% or 800%? I don't know. It's up a lot.
No acting jobs.
Right. That's true. But people, kids are trapped in abusive households. Women are trapped with abusive husbands. People are worried. They're stressed out. We talked about how, people joke about how.
And that's just the Lakers' wives.
Right. People joke about how you're trapped with your wife or your girlfriend. Oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, for about 2 days. And then you get on each other's nerves. Did you guys happen to see Saturday Night Live? They did another one of these shows where they're all at home and they're doing it like this. And it just sucks without a live audience. They had Brad Pitt playing. He was not good. Dr. Fauci, and it was like, nice try, but it didn't work. Yeah. It didn't remind you of Dr. Fauci, but you got to.
They need a Dana Carvey for that.
Right. That's a good one.
I thought it was a comedy show. We don't need like the call to action at the end of that, Brad Pitt, where you like actually thank Dr. We know how you feel about Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, we kind of know. We kind of saw that coming, but they did the headlines.
Yeah, he's political all of a sudden.
Yeah. They did the headlines with no laugh track. Last time they had a few people laughing or they played some sound effects, and it is so awful. Michael Che and what's his name? Colin Jost. They every joke just fell flat. Maybe their writers took the week off, but Michael Che, and no one even picked up on this. He made a joke about how like pigeons in New York and Boston are the same, except the ones in Boston tell all the blackbirds to go back where they came from.
Dun.
Boom.
You can get that, Dave. It's so bad, and there's no laugh track, so there's no fake laughter. And they were just every joke was worse than the last one, and it was just everyone fell flat. Some people can handle performing without a live audience, and some can't, and it is exposing. I said this about all the late night guys, all the whatever. Seth Meyers and Jimmy Kimmel's, and they don't have anyone fake laughing, and it hurts. They just don't seem. I mean, they were never very funny, but it just seems so much worse. But I think by this time next week, we're going to be talking about half the country opening up and doing fine, and the rest of the country, like us in New England, will be saying, "What are we waiting for?"
Well,
but that's the thing. Here's the thing, Jerry. It doesn't matter. No matter what happens, there will be a media. Like, suppose the second Tennessee opened up, they have a Republican governor. Kentucky's got a Democrat one. What does the media immediately run with? Democrat state locks down. Republican state opens up. That's increased by twice as much, even though they have a much larger population than Kentucky. That's no matter what happens, even if it's positive, you're not going to hear it from CNN. So that people are going to believe what they believe.
You're absolutely right. And this is the risk. And I was very disappointed in Trump when he did not support Brian Kemp, the Georgia governor, who opened his state up. And I said this, and there were lots of stories on the news about people cutting hair or people opening up a pizza place or something that was closed. And every day the media is hoping that people in Georgia die. They're hoping, and obviously there's going to be deaths, and they're going to say those are because of Brian Kemp, the Republican governor, the Republican senator, whoever. And they're hoping to hang it around Trump's neck. Believe me, the media, they're just hoping that this thing drags through the summer. They're hoping the economy stays in the toilet. They really need that. Their candidate is pathetic. The only way they can win this is if this pandemic continues to destroy our economy. So they're rooting against reopening. You know that. And
they've been rooting against the economy for a long time, though.
Right.
Bill Maher's wanted your guy. Bill Maher's wanted a recession openly for like the last 3 years.
It's just Bill Maher. It's not Maher. It's just Bill Maher.
That's what I said.
You just said Bill Maher. But next week, here's what's going to happen, Turtle Boy. Next week, all these states that are open up today and last week, they're going to do fine. There'll be more virus. There'll be deaths in nursing homes, but people are realizing that what the old folk, what the vulnerable, the elderly, the obese, what they're doing now, locked away, isolating, that's exactly what they're going to do next week when the country opens up. So what's the difference? No one can make this argument. No one can convince me.
No one can.
When you think about people who are vulnerable are already taking all the precautions. So why not let the other people, the younger people, the healthy people, go about their lives? It's insanity.
Because Jerry, then you might be a carrier and you might get grandma sick. That's what they always tell me.
I'm not going to get grandma sick. Grandma is isolated. That doesn't hold water anymore. That argument doesn't work anymore. Grandma is already isolated. And
I mean, I went to grandma's house yesterday. Grandma's taking chances. Like the fact that grandma would even have me over. She doesn't know who I've shook hands with all week, whatever. The people just don't care. They're just like, I refuse to live in fear. I'd literally rather be dead than continue to live this way for an eternity, which seems to be the plan because there's never an end date. It was 2 weeks and then it was 3 weeks and then it was a month. And now it's like, maybe we'll get around to it. Maybe we'll have football. I don't know.
Just give it 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks.
And I've said it for days now. I'll keep saying it. What's the difference today? That was my question to Trump. Trump criticized Brian Kemp for opening up Georgia. He said it's too soon. Just wait a little longer. And my question, if I was sitting there, with Jim Acosta and Jonathan Carl, I'd say, Mr. President, what's the difference today and 2 weeks from today? What is the friggin' difference? Can you help me out? What changes in 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 months?
They're going to flatten the curve, Jerry. That's what they all tell me. They're going to flatten the curve.
The only reason we locked down, the only reason that made any sense was to avoid overwhelming the hospitals. Now, the hospitals are overwhelmed, I could tell, because I've seen TikTok videos of all these dances.
Don't do this. Don't do that. I saw Featherston.
No. We're going to talk about that, Cullen. I hate the people who say.
I saw Featherston tweeted that, and then Scott Neary even bounced back.
Too bad.
You guys, that's so dumb.
No, it's not dumb. It's perfectly relevant, Cullen. Okay, listen.
Hospitals aren't overloaded. Fine. Go to town, but you don't have to talk about them taking a 5-minute break to have a little bit of fun.
No, you just want 5 minutes.
Wrong. Dave, it is the optics of it all. You cannot be out there saying we're dying, we're overloaded. Here, watch my TikTok. No, every single one of those people who made a video like that is and nurses will tell you this too. They're a disgrace. They're a disgrace.
The of nurses who are actually busting their ass during this period because they made a TikTok video while Nancy Pelosi is showcasing her freezer full of $16.
She sucks too. Two things can be true at once, Dave.
One group actually does.
Look, I'm not sure why you would want to do that, though. I mean, even if you're not overwhelmed,
that's the hill you're dying on. Defending these people.
There was one I retweeted it yesterday or Saturday, and they all got on the one of these carts, the nurses, and pretended they were on the Titanic. They pretended they were like DiCaprio in the front of the Titanic, and it's so lame. And it's like, okay,
so there's a pandemic going on. Should I give you shit for talking about the Michael Jordan documentary today? Should I give you shit?
That doesn't help. The reason we locked
down. That's the stupidest analogy I've ever heard in my entire life. Try again. That's literally the reason. Jerry and nurse. No. So
the reason we locked down, Dave, is so we don't overwhelm the hospitals. Now we can all agree the hospitals, for the most part, aren't overwhelmed. Just the opposite. They're putting off elective surgeries, and people with cancer aren't going to their chemo treatments because they're afraid of getting infected or afraid of overwhelming the hospital. So, and hospitals make 80% of their money on elective surgeries. They're losing out big time. Hospitals are going to go broke because people are afraid of, overwhelming them. it's kind of.
They're going broke because you're not clapping at 7 o'clock. Are you clapping, Jerry?
I'm like, oh no, I've not been told to clap. I will clap if someone tells me to clap, but
that's why they're closing. You're not going to go out there with your pots and pans, and they'll stay open. Watch the commercials
before the curfew, right? I don't want to go out after the curfew and get in trouble because we must
7
quell the pandemic. I can't go out after 9 p.m. because I want to quell the pandemic. I mean,
Cullinan's getting roasted right now in the comments. He's getting roasted. He literally just compared nurses to podcasters. I mean, that's an all-time quarantine Cullinan move. I can't believe he did that.
I just think it's a dramatic stance to take to say that nurses who go in every day risking their health and trying to help people get better from this illness, this virus.
And you compare them to Jerry.
30 seconds out of their day to post a video on social media is not the end of the world.
You can't at the same time be overwhelmed and do the Macarena. You can't do both.
You can't.
It's one or the other. Do it. It's one or the other. But okay, we all agree, whether you like the TikTok videos or not, we all agree the hospitals aren't overwhelmed. That's the only reason to wait to open up the country. If they're not overwhelmed, we're good. Time to go back to work because the old, the sick, the vulnerable are already quarantined. So go. You could today, right now, the mayor, or the governor, Charlie Parker, could open up this state. Cuomo could open up his state today because the people who are at risk aren't going to go to work. They're not going to go to school. They're not going to go to the mall. They're going to stay home and isolate. It's sad. It's unfortunate, but this is ravaging one or a couple of segments of society. It's not affecting everybody. It's not hurting everybody. And a destroyed economy is hurting everybody. It just makes no sense. I'm so tired of this. Every time I tweet about it, I get
a destroyed economy is not hurting everyone. You're wrong about that. It's doing great for socialists, the people that will sit home doing nothing to begin with. This is their type of economy, Jerry.
Right. Well, it's helping Trump haters. I'll give you that. And again, I'm going to say it every day. When you're getting told by someone on TV to stay at home and lock away and stay under your bed, ask yourself, what are they giving up? As we learned from Chris Cuomo, they're a bunch of friggin' lying frauds. Chris Cuomo is, I call him Jesse. Jesse Cuomo did this stupid stage thing where he came out of his basement. He'd been out of his basement 100 times already. It was a total lie.
That video was great. I love that video.
The list goes on, by the way. The mayor of Chicago told everyone they couldn't get their haircut. Then she went and got a haircut. Governor Northam, Governor Blackface, Klan robes in Virginia told people they had to stay home. He traveled to his beach house in North Carolina for the weekend. I mean, they're just frauds. These people telling you what to do. A, don't know what they're doing. And B, do not live by the same rules. Keep that in mind when you're told what to do, when you're told to get out of the water, or you can't sit on the beach, or you can't go out after 9 p.m. Keep in mind, the people telling you to do that aren't living by those rules. And by the way, They don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they have these rules in the first place. It's time people just said, screw it. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to open up half the country in the next week or two. It's going to go fine. The other half are going to just open. The people are going to say, I can't do this anymore. I got a restaurant, or I got a shoe store. I'm opening. I got a construction company. We're going back to work. You want to arrest us? Go ahead. Can't arrest us all.
Exactly.
That video you posted, I think it was it a hair salon in Georgia? And you were praising the woman for opening up. That I watched that video, and the effort level that she went to open her business back up was just insanity to me.
Couldn't you feel the nerves? She was nervous.
It's like you can open up. The governor said you can do it, so open up. I'm going to wear my mask. Maybe I'll wear gloves if I feel the need to. You wear your mask. I think she took overboard in what she had to do.
We haven't lost. We're doing our thing from home. We can't go to Legacy Club because you're afraid. And there are some people that are on hold here till this thing blows over. I understand we can't do a lot of things we want to do, but can you imagine having your whole life savings wrapped up in a beauty salon or a restaurant? Everything you've worked for 30, 40 years, whatever. And it's all going away because the government, you didn't do anything wrong. You were following the government. Couldn't stop this pandemic from coming into this country. And in fact, so the government says, you have to lose everything now. Sorry, bub. Can you imagine that feeling of helplessness, of frustration? I would be like that woman. I'd put my mask on, I'd open up, I'd say, she's young enough, she's healthy, she's not going to die. She's going to say, I have to do this or I lose everything. My life is, upside down.
This is going to go down in history, Jerry. As a former history teacher, this will go down in history as one of the great screw-ups of all time. We're going to be like, remember that time when people were dying almost exclusively in nursing homes, and we intentionally tanked a $20 trillion economy, and people were dying. The median age in Massachusetts that people are dying of COVID is 81. That's like the median of death in general. Like, it's the stupidest thing ever. We're going to look back on this like, wow, that was freaking stupid.
I said this the other day. In Italy, they did a study of the people who died. I think their average age was 80 and a half or something. They on average had 3 other life-threatening conditions. 3. The average person who died had 3 other things that were going to kill them. And I tweeted this out one day and took a lot of shit. They estimated that 2 out of 3 of the deaths in Italy those people weren't going to make it to the end of the year. They were going to lose their life from something else. It is killing elderly, vulnerable people. We protect them for all they're worth. We don't want to lose them. We protect them the way we're doing now. Okay, now why does everyone else have to sacrifice? Why does everyone else have to give up their damn livelihoods? And we'll get the tweets, and we'll get the blowback from teachers who are doing fine. They're teaching and doing their online thing. We'll get it from government employees who don't lose a thing ever. You won't get it from restaurant owners or hair salon owners or construction company owners. Those people are on edge right now because they feel like it's all slipping away because of this government decree. It's just madness. You're right, Turtle Boy. I don't know if it'll be 6 months, 6 years, 10 years, but we'll look back and say, what an insane policy to destroy a great economy for a virus, an illness that was killing like less than 1%. The fatality rate is literally less than 1%. It's just,
yeah. And it's also, and think about just the idea of quarantining people in general, forcing them to be in the same areas. It's a recipe for an outbreak. That's what we're also going to look back this like. Right. We literally drew the blueprint for maximum casualties by telling people, go into your homes, breathe the same air, be on top of each other, send one person out to Walmart to pick up the bug, bring it home, and now you're all dead. There's a reason why old people aren't dying by themselves. They're dying in nursing homes with other old people. I mean, it's insane.
I was walking by assisted living place near where I live, and a guy was yelling out the window. I couldn't understand what he was yelling. He was, I think he was like saying, please help me up. They literally can't leave their rooms. It's sad as hell, but it's what you got to do. Unfortunately, it is attacking one group of people, these old, elderly, vulnerable people. It's sad, but time for everyone else to go back to work, go back to school, go back to their lives. This has gone on long enough. So is this podcast, Turtle Boy. We never even got to the latest what do you call them? Pedo poachers?
Pedo poachers?
Pedo
they had a big week last week.
Big week last week. You can read all about it. You can see all about it. They live streamed the latest sting operation. It is amazing stuff. Great work. How many? They've nabbed like 40.
They're up to high 30s, I want to say. Yeah, 30s. But they got a real bad one last week. That guy that was had like readily admitted, like, I do this all the time with boys.
The guy with the cigarette.
Yep.
That guy was freaking weird.
That was amazing, and he was just
so
saying,
calm.
This is what I do, And the cops. The good news is the cops aren't too busy, busting people for walking their dogs. They're following up the fine work that these guys are doing, these vigilantes, and they're busting these guys, including a local police chief. Great stuff. You can read all about it on tbdaily.com. TB Daily News.
tbdailynews.com.
Never get that right.
We'll figure it out eventually.
I can confirm that I have not tweeted with any of the other people that the pedo poachers or whatever they are have nabbed. All right,
they're doing great work. And fortunately, they're at work during this lockdown because these perverts, they're not slowing down, and they're nailing them, and they're nailing them on video. You can check all that out at tbdailynews.com. Thanks, Turtle Boy. We'll talk to you next week. And
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Shea Concrete, and thanks to Allied Paving, and thanks to our friends from the DCU, from the Digital Federal Credit Union. Thanks to Cullinane. Good job.
You're welcome. I told people in the comment section on Facebook Live, by the way, 10 million downloads, and I'll show you the Shamrock tattoo.
Dave,
10 million downloads. Where is it? Where's the tattoo?
Right here, right on my chest, right here. It's literally from the movie The Departed.
I'm glad. I might have done something stupid like that when I was younger, but it wasn't a thing. You know, when I was younger, tattoos weren't a thing, fortunately. But I don't think my kids don't have them. I don't think, as far as I know, my wife doesn't have one. We're good. This family, we haven't wasted any money on tattoos.
Hey, Dave, can I come on a Reamer sometime?
Yeah, why not?
People want to see it. I've been getting a lot of requests.
What are you going to do?
I mean, I feel like
homophobic?
Challenge him. Unlike you guys have like a tickle fight. You two. You guys are like Ann Coulter and Joe Hart.
Fantastic. Look at the tone that's been set on this show. Where Turtle Boy has to ask me if he can come on the show with Alex Reamer. He just completely bypassing Jerry and just
no. I think he means, do you have the technology? Can you pull it off? So
no, that's not what he meant. That's not what he meant. You can
Turtle Boy, you can come on anytime you want. I wish you'd read up before you came on, knew what the hell you were talking about. But hey,
I'm a learned guy. What are you talking about?
Why don't you do that this week? Whenever, I don't know, whenever Reamer's on. Call in.
I think he's on tomorrow. So this might be Turtle Week, I guess. This is Turtle Week.
Oh, Jesus. Just what
we'll talk. We'll figure we'll do some negotiations. I need more M&M peanuts if we're gonna do this.
I don't have any of those on me right now, but I'll owe you. I'll owe you some peanut M&Ms. All right, thanks, man. I'll talk to you. This is the Callahan Podcast. I'm Jerry Callahan. We'll do it again tomorrow. Maybe with Reamer and Turtle Boy. Who knows? We'll see.